Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 50 Day Spoken English course. Now, today is day 37, as you can see on my screen. You are not here just to learn English. You are here to transform how you speak, think, and express yourself. Okay? So, over the next 50 days, all right, we are not focusing on memorizing only grammar rules. We are building something far more powerful. And do you know what that is? That is, natural speaking flow, confidence while talking, clear sentence formation, fast thinking in English, real life communication skills as well. Now, let me just tell you that this course is actually designed the way English is actually used and not how it's taught in textbooks. You will learn how to speak in conversations, expressing opinions, telling stories, ask questions, and responding naturally. Okay. Remember, before I start, I would just like to tell you this one statement that fluency is not about perfection. It's about comfort, clarity, and courage to speak. Okay. Now, from today, I want you to make one promise to yourself. That is, I will speak even if I make mistakes. Okay. Because that's how real progress happens. Great. Let's begin this journey together and let's get a look at today's topic in detail. Okay, so as you can see on my screen, that today we are dealing with a very important topic in English, that is active and passive voice, right? Pretty much active versus passive voice. Now, in English, the same idea can be expressed in two ways. All right, anything that you want to talk can be expressed in two different ways depending on what we want to emphasize on. So these two ways are called voice. Either it's an active voice or it's a passive voice. And this is not just grammar, guys. This is about your focus, your tone, and your communication purpose. So I just want you to understand today's goal is that by the end of this lesson, you will be able to understand active voice, you will be able to understand passive voice, know the difference between both of these voices, clearly, change sentences from one voice to another, and use voice depending on this particular word. And what is this word? You can read it out. Is purpose. Okay, that's very important to understand. Now, what is the big idea of this particular topic? As you know, that English allows us to decide that do we focus on who did the action. Okay, as I told you, English has two ways. Okay, two ways to say the same idea. Okay, the same big idea can be put in two ways, active and passive. Now when we look at active voice, it actually focuses on who did the action. However, when we look at passive voice, it focuses on what actually happened, the action. All right, what kind of action, the result, it focuses on the result. However, the active voice focuses on who did that action that it resulted in so and so. All right, so let's look at each of the voices in detail. Now, what is active voice, guys? What I want you to do is pause the video here. Okay, again the same drill, just pause the video here. And if you do not know, it's okay. If you know, just try to recollect what is an active voice. All right, what is an active voice? So if you know, it's a great deal. However, I'll let you know in detail what exactly active voice is. In active voice, the subject performs the action. What am I saying? That in an active voice, okay, the subject is the main player. Who is the main player? The subject, or the person who's doing the action. Okay, so the structure here is very simple. It is subject plus verb and the object. What is the structure? Again, a very small activity you can do here is take it down somewhere, or wherever you feel comfortable, probably on a notebook or your notepad, anything. Okay, anywhere that you feel comfortable, or anywhere that you feel that you can pull it out anytime that you want to cross check. Now, what is an active voice? Active voice is, it shows the subject. as the main character. All right. Now the structure is very simple to remember as well. Subject plus verb plus your object. For example, the dog chased the ball. Now who did the action here? The dog. He's our main player. Here, he's our main character here. Why is an active voice? So we have to give it to the dog. Okay, he's our hero here. He's the main player, the dog. What happened? What happened? He chased something, like he's running after something, right? He's running after something. So basically, the dog chased the ball. He's kind of running after the ball. Now, what exactly is happening here is that the doer, or the person who is kind of doing an action in this sentence is very clear. The subject is clear and the doer is clear, and the sentence feels direct, energetic, natural, and conversational. It feels direct. It's like, you're telling it to someone. Okay, that's why active voice is common in daily speaking, storytelling, and clear communication. So I'll just give you some examples from real speech as well. I don't think you can find it on the screen. However, please listen carefully. I completed the task. She cleaned the room. We solved the problem. Active voice highlights. Okay, all these are active voice sentences. Like, I completed the task. She cleaned the room. We solved the problem. All right, so just keep in mind whenever you look at this particular point under grammar, you have to understand that active voice always deals with the subject. Okay, the subject that does the action, it is the main player, or he or she is the main player. Okay, so in this particular sentence, the dog is the subject and it is the main player. Now let's look at the passive voice for now. Okay, in passive voice, the subject receives the action, guys. Okay, the formula, the structure for the passive voice, I'll let you know. It's a bit complicated as compared to the simple subject plus verb plus object under the active voice, but passive voice takes on another kind of a formula. And what is it? It is object becomes the subject here, and to be form of your auxiliary verb, okay, plus your V3 past participle by, and then your subject. Okay, subject is pushed to the very end, as you can see. However, here under the structure, under the active voice, your subject is taking the primary position. However, when you come to the passive voice, what's happening here, guys? Just look at the screen. What's happening here? The subject is pushed to the very end. Am I right? Obviously. So let's look at an example and understand this. Okay, the ball was chased by the dog. That's it. As simple as it can be. It's not rocket science, and you really don't have to even remember this formula. However, it is logically also, if you think, if you want to go and tell this particular sentence where you saw the dog chase the ball, if you want to go and tell this particular sentence to someone, you will definitely start your sentence with the ball itself, because you want to tell what the dog actually did to someone else that's listening to you, right? Right? So let's look at the example, and then let's try to kind of understand what the structure is all about. So object, what is the object here? What's the object here under the active voice? The object here is the ball, right? The ball is the object here, right? However, when you come to the passive voice, as I told you, the object takes the primary position, so the ball is moved to the first place. So the ball, to be, is your was. Okay, auxiliary verb. Verb 3, chased. Okay, now by, see, in the formula itself you have this particular word that is included. You have to add this by. So by. Okay, and what is the subject? What is the subject? Who's the hero of our active voice sentence? Obviously the dog. So just you're going to put that dog here. Got it, guys? Did you get it? Remember, under passive voice, the focus is on the ball. The focus is on the ball here, especially in this sentence. Okay. The doer becomes secondary. Let me just tell you again, the doer, in the sense the person who is doing an action, becomes secondary, and the focus is on the result. What is happening to the ball? Suddenly we are interested in what is the result and what is the action that is being done. Okay, and now under what circumstances can you use passive voice? Is when the sentence, if you want to kind of put it across, when you want to kind of tell the sentence in the form of neutral or indirect sense, or formal language as well. So passive voice changes the emphasis from who did it to what actually happened. So by the end, it feels formal, neutral, less personal. And very important, I just told you a word, that is result focused. Okay, guys? Okay? Okay? I hope you understood the basic definition of active as well as the passive voice. Okay? Now, I just want to kind of let you understand what exactly is the difference between active and passive voice, just by giving you a small side by side comparison. All right? Look at this: active voice, passive voice, correct? Active voice, passive voice. Active voice, subject does the action. Passive voice, subject receives the action. Active voice focuses on the doer. Passive voice focuses on the result or the action that actually took place. Active voice is direct and pretty short. However, passive voice is longer and formal. Why? Why? Obviously, because look at the formula, guys. The formula itself is a bit big, right? The structure itself is a bit elaborative in nature. Object plus to be plus verb 3, okay, plus by, and then plus your subject in the particular sentence. So keep that in mind. That is what is the basic difference. Now, if you can look at the last point, active voice is pretty common in speaking, but passive voice is used mostly when you're looking at formal writing as well. Okay, you're looking at formal writing as well. Okay, now when do we use passive voice? When do we use passive voice? Passive voice is powerful, I'm sorry, useful when the doer is unknown. Also, I just want you to kind of understand this as well. Passive voice is also useful when the doer is unknown. Okay, for example, the window was broken. By whom? We don't know. And the doer is important. When the doer is important, like the road was repaired. The doer is important here. There's a person who has repaired the road, but we don't know. All right. So that is also a scenario where you can use passive voice. When we want to sound professional or formal, also we are looking at using passive voice. Like the meeting was conducted successfully. All right. That's an example under that. Or when we focus on a result or process, the experiment was completed. Okay, so passive voice is used pretty much in reports, scientific writing, official announcements, etc. All right, so just kind of understand that passive voice is very important when you look at it in the context of formal writing or meetings, or when you really have to convey certain set of information to someone. Okay, so let's kind of just go ahead and look at the next section here. All right, all right, yes. Now, some more examples I have got for you. That is active voice. Example number one is John wrote the book. Convert this, convert this to passive voice, convert this to passive voice, and try to understand this concept of, writing down this particular, the structure that I just gave you, the structure. Write down the structure somewhere and then try to convert John wrote the book to a passive voice. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. Write down that structure somewhere and try to convert the active voice to passive voice. Pretty simple, but follow the structure. Okay, so John wrote the book. The answer is the book was written by John. She ate the cake. The cake was eaten by her, V3 form. And this is the to be form. Okay. The cake is what? The cake is the object. This is the subject. They built the bridge. The bridge was built by them. The teacher explained the lesson. The lesson is the object, right? Was is the to be form. Explained is V3 form. Okay, V3 form of verb. By the teacher. By, I told you, right? By is necessary in our, the whole structure. By the teacher. See, you can see by everywhere. By, and by. Very important. Okay, when you come to passive voice. By the teacher. Now, just another small topic that I want you to wrap your heads around is that why do we use passive voice? Just now, I kind of told you that passive voice is used when we do not know who did the action. Okay, that's what I just told you. Like, I'm sorry, like what? I told you that passive voice is useful when the doer is unknown. Like, who did the action? Like, the window was broken. All right. And secondly, it's used when the doer is not important. What do I say when the doer is not important? I kind of told you that when the doer is not important but the work is done, at that point of time also you can use passive voice. Like, the road was repaired. But here, the doer is not very important. Okay. The next one is we want to focus on the result only. Okay, so if you want to focus on the result is also when you're looking at using passive voice. Like, what was the result in this sentence? That is, the meeting was conducted successfully. The meeting was successful, so it is result oriented as well. Or in scientific or formal settings also you can use passive voice. Like in reports, annual reporting, these kind of circumstances also people look at using passive voice only. Okay, so these are the examples I just told you. So the window was broken. Who broke it? Not important. Okay, so passive voice. English is spoken worldwide. General fact also can be used. Now focus on the result or the process. The experiment was completed. Okay, I hope I'm clear. So I'm going to move ahead because there are still a few topics that I want to kind of, let you know. So let's go on. How to change active to passive. This is another important, part of the whole process of understanding voices. So how to change? To change active to passive, identify the object. Okay, to change active to passive, first you find the object in the sentence. Okay, then move it to the subject position, that is the primary position, first position. Okay, what is the subject position? Normally is the primary position or the first position. So you kind of have to first find the object, then move it to the subject position, that is the first position. Add correct form of to be, like your auxiliary verbs, was, is, where, things like that. Okay, and then add the v3 form of verb 3 form of verb. Okay, the last step I want you to add by. Okay, by by plus the doer is nothing but the subject. Am I clear? Again, the same example so that you don't get confused. See, the active voice is the dog chased the ball, correct? Now, according to these steps, if you can just pause the video and also reconnect with the same process, if you see, find the object in this first sentence. Well, what is the object? The ball. Then make it the subject, make this object the subject. So you're moving it to the, where the dog is placed, you're placing the ball in the place of the dog. Okay, the ball. Was is my to be form, plus the v3 is chased. To be form is was, and v3 is the verb 3, that is chased. What am I doing in the end? The fourth step is I'm adding by plus the doer. Okay, doer in the sense the subject. So by the dog. That is how you change active to passive. Great. Let's look at the next part wherein we are going to learn how to change passive to active. Okay, that's also important, right? So here it's pretty easy. You're going to find the doer. Okay, you're going to find the doer. All right, then make it the subject. Okay, then make it the subject. Find the doer. Find the doer. The cake was eaten by her. Who is the doer here? Who is the doer? By her. So you're going to change it into she, right? She, okay? Use the correct verb tense. That's very important. The cake was eaten by her. But we are going to kind of stick to subject, I'm sorry, subject, verb, and the object. Verb here is ate. So she ate the cake. So she pretty much changes to by her in the passive form. But when it is active, this the by her phrase changes to she overall. Okay, remember that. Great. So a very quick formula for you guys to understand or pretty much memorize as well is active form takes by this formula, that is subject, verb plus object. Passive, however, takes on a different formula or a structure, that is object to be plus verb 3 by and the subject. Okay, I also gave you a few examples and in-depth explanation of the whole process. Again, something that I really want you to do is pause the video, guys. Pause the video and read the sentences aloud. I think that's more than enough when I tell you to do so. Please do it in order to reap the benefits. Okay, great. Moving ahead, let's look at some examples. Active daily speaking examples. Okay, that is, I finished the work. She cleaned the room. These are both active form of sentences. Passive, the work was finished or the room was cleaned by her. Okay, this is again optional. I told you, right? By her. If I add by her, it's someone cleaned the room. Okay, it was done by her. Sorry for the handwriting. This is the max I can do with my mouse. All right. So the work was finished. The room was cleaned by her. Right? Now, just before I, you know, uh, end the session for today, I would really like to give you a key message. That's it. That is, active voice is pretty strong and natural because it is direct. Passive voice is formal and focused on the action or result. All right. So, in order to sound fluent, what best you can do is follow these quick rules that I just shared with you right now under this topic. Follow these quick rules. Pause the video. Okay. Pause the video. Follow these quick rules and form your own sentences, guys. Form your own sentences. That's something that's more important. Okay, so remember this: active voice creates clarity and strength. Passive voice creates a kind of formality, or it's in sense, or it's in relation to creating formality. Okay, and also try to understand that when you are switching from active to passive, you need to focus on tone. All right, you need to focus on the emphasis of what word you are turning to the to be form and the v3 form, and then adding a by and then the subject in reference with passive, the passive voice. Okay, now this is how language moves from basic to effective expression, guys. I want you to understand that, so that you get the gist of that fluency, and you get the gist of an improvement overall. All right, and that brings us to the today's session. It's going to kind of end before I just take you through the practice section here. All right, if you can look at the screen, I've got a mini practice challenge for you. What you really have to do is change to passive. All right, these sentences: she opened the door, they completed the project, he wrote the email. Change these sentences to passive. And the food was cooked by my mom. The song was sung by her. The work was done by the team. So, what you can do here is obviously change these sentences into active form of voice. All right. So, every step you take in speaking, English adds up, guys. I want you to truly practice. That is the reason I have been reinforcing the same point over and over again throughout all the lessons that I've been kind of sharing with you guys here at GK Pro. Every step you take in speaking, adds up. So, even the small effort, the sentences you try, the words you struggle with, the moments you hesitate, they are all a part of building fluency. Don't worry, take it slow. Progress in speaking is not loud, okay? It grows really quietly through practice, repetition, and confidence. So keep using what you learned today. That is, speak daily, thinking English, and do not fear mistakes. Very important. Focus on communication and not perfection, guys. Okay, the goal is pretty simple, to help you to understand pretty clearly. I try to get you all the topics, okay, and their base forms. None of the topics are overwhelming. What I try to do here is to give you a sense of real spoken English, so that you can understand how exactly you can go ahead and learn each and every topic with ease. Now, if you're learning with us on YouTube, this lesson is a part of a free spoken English course. If you want guided practice and step by step confidence building, you can join us through the free course link in the description. Start free, continue only when you feel ready, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.